Hi everybody, thanks for joining me again. With the holidays right around the corner, I thought this would be a really good opportunity to talk about how the NARCS in our lives ruin all holidays, birthdays, special occasions, any occasion that we might want to mark as special or significant. They're gonna go and take a dump on it. I picked up on this many years ago, and I couldn't understand it, didn't know why it happened. I didn't know what it meant. The ironic thing is my ex-father-in-law was famous for doing the exact same thing. But somehow or another, I was able to shut him out. It was always brought to my attention by my family when both of our families were together. Did you see so-and-so? Did you hear so-and-so? Did you? And I just let it all roll off my back. I'm like, whatever. I don't live with him. It doesn't matter to me. My narcissist mother and my crazy sister always managed to make a bigger deal of him and his behavior than I ever did. I managed to ignore him. I didn't care. I didn't let it bother me. Again, busy being mom, busy holding it all together, busy, trying to be happy, I guess. And I just didn't give him any merit. I gave his antics and his attitude and the things that he would say and do, I didn't give it any weight. But as years went by, I noticed that their family didn't care for his behavior either. So it wasn't just, my crazy sister and mother recognizing him and his, BS. Their own family was, very aware of it as well. It was like nobody could even stand him. Nobody really wanted him around. I mean, he's a real piece of work. I think I've mentioned him in other videos. You'd have to search far and wide to hear anybody say anything positive about him. He's an awful human being. But it just became very obvious to me that nobody could stand to have him around. And I remember he made his own daughter cry one Christmas. So I didn't see the pattern then. Again, we've got our blinders on. We're just trying to see the good, trying to find the good, doing and saying what we think is right, and we put our blinders on to all those things. And I just thought, oh, that's their family business, that's their problem. And no, it was very much my problem, because my ex behaved exactly like that. And it wasn't until later years, I was with him for 24, so it took me a while to pick up on all that. Nobody could stand to have him around. In later years, I noticed that my ex was doing the old, hey, what do you say we go away for Thanksgiving? Or what do you say we make plans and do this for the holiday instead? It was like, first of all, we could never agree on anything. We truly had the means to go anywhere and travel anywhere and take vacations, and we did as a family. But in recent years, as our children were older and we had more freedom, we just couldn't agree on anything. So here, you can take a vacation, but you can't even agree on where to go, so you don't go anywhere. That's how bad it was. So, he did a lot of talking about going places and avoiding the holidays. Every time the holidays rolled around, he talked about it. And we actually did one Thanksgiving, but I mean, next year the holidays were right there staring us in the face. So his father managed to ruin some holidays. They put their little mark on things. And then when I did pick up on that pattern and I realized that pattern was there, it became very alarming to me. Once I had that realization that my future would not be with him, I didn't know how and when. I just knew that I couldn't stay in the relationship and be with my father-in-law, essentially, because that's exactly who he behaved like. I started to really take note of the similarities in one of our many fights. And I know I told him this more than once. I was screaming and crying, and I was telling him that there was no way I could stay with him because he was going to ruin future birthdays, baptisms, engagement parties, weddings, baby birthdays, first birthdays, you name it. I was staring him in the face, counting on him to ruin those things. And I told him that, sure as I'm standing here, you are going to ruin those things for me. And I have to get away from you so that I don't get excluded. I want to be around my children. I want to be around my future grandchildren. And if I'm with you, they're not going to want us around. I'm going to get left out because you're an a-hole, essentially, is what I told him more than once. I actually had an instance. He proved me right, at least on one instance. Very close to the time that I left him, we both happened to be at my son's house. This is his home. He owns it. He's a homeowner. And I drove there and got there before him, and he came afterwards, and he walked in and wasn't there 15, 20 minutes and, you know, locked horns with my son and ended up storming out. And I sat there on the couch smiling because I thought, I have my own car. I don't have to leave with you. Sure as I was sitting there, I said, and so it begins. You know, if we had been together, I would have, you know, had to leave with him and leave the company of my son and his wonderful girlfriend there in their wonderful home because he's an a-hole. So I took that opportunity later on to, you know, bring it up before I left him and say, you did it. You did exactly what I said you were going to do. Everything that I thought was going to happen is happening. It's unfolding right here in front of my face. You are acting true to form, just like your old man, and I want no part of it. I can't risk not being a part of their lives later on because they hate you and they don't want you around, or they don't want you coming and taking a dump on their special days or holidays or birthdays or whatever their events might be. The last few events that we've had together, however small or intimate they may have been, they've all been pleasant. We enjoy each other's company. We have a good time. There's lots of laughs to be had. There's no tension. It's wonderful. I could go on and on about how grateful I am and how blessed I am that now all of our special days and holidays and special events are just wonderful. There's no tension. There's no, oh, here it comes. You know, I mean, whatever was on the calendar, you go ahead and write fight down next to it. Some sort of scene. Somebody was going to get yelled at. Somebody was going to be in trouble. I recently came across an article that said they do that. It's like, it's a narcissist way of like leaving their mark so that you remember it later on. So that it's like embedded in you, so that you do have those flashbacks and you are more susceptible to their abuse, their manipulation. And a lot of it is jealousy, just plain outright jealousy. If it's somebody else's birthday, well, then that person's getting the attention. It's not on them. The attention's not on them. I just can't tell you how many birthdays and special days, graduations, I mean, you name it. He ruined it. And I'm so, so glad I don't have to deal with that anymore. I'm so, so glad my family doesn't have to deal with that anymore. My children don't have to deal with that anymore. We can get together and we can have a good time and we can enjoy each other's company and enjoy the day for whatever it may be, whatever that celebration may be. Again, it's just one of those things where it's like, who does that? You know, why do they do that? Why do they think that way? It's just their way of doing things. They have to make it about them. They need their supply, and when everybody else is getting the attention, the birthday person or the whoever is getting the attention, they're not getting the attention, and there goes their supply. And when they ruin a day, when they cause conflict, they leave that mark. They leave a mark on you, on your mind, on your thoughts, your emotions. And later on, that proves a supply for them, just like it did in my situation. I mean, me having a fit about it later on, that was supply for him. Any kind of attention was supply for him. So me even bringing those things up, that somehow helped him. Sick as that is, apparently it does. I'm just so grateful that I don't have to deal with that anymore. When it's somebody who's sort of removed, like my ex-father-in-law was, I just didn't pay attention to him. I said hello, I was cordial, I was nice, and then I moved on and just avoided the conflict. I guess it just depends on who that person is in your circle, in your family. I mean, obviously, if it's a spouse or a parent, that person's going to be much closer to you, and it's going to be harder to avoid. And I read this article about how you should try to avoid it during the holidays. You know, plan vacations, you know, go away. Avoid those conflicts, stay off the social media if you don't attend something or have something or you exclude that person and you think there's going to be backlash for it. It's so much easier said than done when you're in the situation, and I do understand that. For your own sanity, if you can avoid somebody who's toxic in your family, then you really do need to. Obviously, if you're in a toxic relationship, you need to get out of it. However, whenever, whatever has to happen to make it happen, you need to get out of a toxic relationship. When I'm talking about these events, I'm talking about people who may be at a further distance than an immediate relationship or a parent, obviously. Once you are aware of it, once you know that it's happening, once you know you've been on the receiving end of that type of abuse, you've got to do something about it. You've got to pull yourself out of it. You've got to pull yourself away from it, no matter who that person might be. With me, it was my ex and my mother, and I've had no contact with her at all. As difficult as that was, I still talk about it with my therapist, still deal with it on some level every single day. I'm a happier person because she's not in my life making me miserable, making me feel like less than who I am. This whole thing with the holidays and the birthdays and everything, like I said, with the holidays right around the corner, I figured it'd be a good time to bring it up and talk about another one of their wonderful personality traits and how they just ruin everything, and how normal, loving, caring people like us don't deserve that. We don't deserve that. The people that happen to be there don't deserve that. Anybody that's around who's truly enjoying an event or a holiday doesn't deserve somebody's toxic crap. So they can go off and have their holidays and birthdays and bar mitzvahs and whatever they want to enjoy on their own, because we don't need that. We just move on and we're happier for it. Like I said, I thought it was worth bringing up. That's my experience. Yep, I would have to say that he ruined just about anything that was significant or special. What I used to say to him was, nothing is sacred to you. Nothing. I used to tell him that over and over and over. Nothing is sacred to you. And he would just give me that blank stare. That idiotic blank stare, because he knew damn well I was right. He knew exactly what I was getting at, and I was calling him out on it. And he had no response. He had no response for acting like a first-class a-hole and being called out on it. Nothing was sacred. If there was a special day, special time, special event, he was sure to screw it up for everybody, make everybody uncomfortable, have somebody in tears, whether it was me, my daughter, whoever. It's a sad situation. It's very sad to look back on that and know that we dealt with that many times, that I put myself through it, that I put my kids through it. No more of that. It's all over with now. With any luck, he's ruining no one else's holidays this year. Maybe he'll just be alone. Anyway, thanks for watching again, and I hope to post something else again really soon. Lots more to come with my narcissist mother. Thanks for watching, Smarties.